Now, he was asked how he would rate the meeting from 1 to 10, and Donald Trump replied 12. Trump saying on board Air Force One, whilst on his way home after a meeting of approaching 2 hours with Xi Jinping, that he struck a deal to reduce tariffs on China in exchange for Beijing resuming US soybean purchases, keeping rare earths exports flowing, and cracking down on the illicit trade of fentanyl. Trump saying he will also visit China in April. Let's hear what he had to say on his way home.
What are the major stumbling blocks that are left now to work through, and how soon do you think you could sign a trade deal with China?
Well, I think pretty soon. We have not too many major stumbling blocks. We have a deal, but all of the rare earth has been settled. That whole situation, that roadblock is gone now. There's no roadblock at all.
Donald Trump there. Well, Philip Turle, International Affairs Editor, is with me here on set. Philip, Donald Trump said he expected a great meeting before he went in to talk to Xi. From his words afterwards, it seems like he feels he got one.
Well, you know, Donald Trump, he always wants to come away from a meeting as the victor, the man who signed the deals, the person who's managed to obtain exactly what he wanted. This is pure Donald Trump. And the words that go with it, the adjectives that Donald Trump frequently uses that don't really add up to much, like amazing, great, tremendous. They're all words that are signifying something big, but we don't exactly know what that big refers to and how much it is. So we come away from these talks a little bit frustrated about the fact that they didn't go as far as many expected them to go to, and it's pretty unclear about what has exactly been achieved from these negotiations between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping. Let's go through some of the details, shall we? They have worked out a framework to bring down tariffs from US tariffs on China from 57% to 47%, so there's a 10% lowering. On rare earths, this was probably the biggest issue. There has been a 1-year extendable deal on supplies of these crucial minerals, which is something that Donald Trump really desperately needs because these minerals are used in the fabrication of vehicles, especially electric vehicles, in weapons, in household items, and there have been restrictions on these coming out of China as a result of US tariffs, and it's something that the US economy desperately needs. So there has been a breakthrough on that, but it's a 1-year deal. On fentanyl, which is this drug which can be used in the manufacture of opioids, which have caused ravages around the United States. This is where there has also been pressure on China to stamp out the sending of fentanyl, or at least reduce that to the United States. There's been progress on that issue as well. That means that Donald Trump has brought down the 10% of the tariffs from 20 to 10% on that. He said afterwards, I believe that the Chinese are taking strong action on that. There's another important issue also, which is soybeans. This is a crucial point for farmers in the US who've seen their crops completely destroyed as a result of China no longer importing soybeans to the Chinese market, which is one of their biggest markets. Many of these farmers voted for Donald Trump when the elections took place last year, and they've seen since then that their export capacity has been severely, if not totally, diminished. So Donald Trump says, yeah, there's been an agreement on that. He says tremendous amounts of soybeans and other farm products are going to be purchased immediately, but we don't have a figure on that. Another point that has also been achieved is, which is also vague, is on artificial intelligence, where Donald Trump says China will speak with the Silicon Valley chip maker NVIDIA, which has been pushing for the import of computer chips, saying that they are desperately badly needed, about their purchasing of computer chips. We will have to hear where that actually goes afterwards. So that is what's been achieved. No information about movement on the war in Ukraine. For example, pressure on China not to purchase Russian oil. China has maintained all the way down the line that it's a neutral partner in all of this. It doesn't take sides either with Ukraine or with China. That's why it's continuing to buy Russian oil, something that Donald Trump wants them to stop doing. And no news about Taiwan, which was also one of the points on the agenda. This is a strategic ambiguity, is how it's being called. The US officially supports Taiwan, but doesn't recognize recognize it as a country that is independent of China. So there's been no movement of that either. President Trump due to go back to China to conclude more deals, he's saying, in April next year.
Phil, let's talk about the strength of Xi Jinping at this time, because there have been some brutal purges in China, haven't there, in recent days? 9 of the highest-ranking generals accused of corruption. I mean, is that a sign of his strength or of his weakness?
Well, this is something that has played, I think, quite an important role in the relationship between China and the US. The US always saw itself as the world's dominant power. But what Xi Jinping is trying to achieve is to put China back on the world stage as the number one world power, and he's willing to do anything to make it get that far. So getting rid of doing purges against people he doesn't see up to the job is all part of his long-term strategy of stamping out corruption, stamping out liberal ideas, trying to re-put the Chinese Communist Party at the center of everything to control everything. And what he's doing here, which is quite interesting in the face of the United States, is no longer trying to negotiate with them a way out, like many other countries have done in the past, where they're pandering to Donald Trump to give in to get these tariffs reduced. What China is doing is saying, okay, you want to put tariffs on us, we don't care, we're just going to turn our back on the United States and we will be independent of you and we will do what we like. That's something that Donald Trump can't accept. That's why we've seen these tentative moves to try to pander to the Chinese leadership, but the Chinese leadership making pretty clear, if you don't do what we want, we'll just turn our back on you and we'll do what we want. And that's why we've got these deals today. How far this is going to go, we don't know right now, but it's certainly a change of strategy for Donald Trump to have to deal with someone who's basically operating on the same way that Donald Trump operates. That's why there's been these sort of tentative words coming out that, yes, we got on fine together, but in fact, this was really a man-to-man talk, and I don't think there was as much progress as Donald Trump would have liked.